Hello and welcome. Today we're going to see how you can use characterization that's applied through NX Inspector to your design criteria in the CAD model to be able to trace this all the way downstream through manufacturing and inspection. As you can see here, we have a flange part, and in this flange we have certain views set up with our definition of our product. This includes some of the dimensions, some of the notes, even some of the form and finish, and some of the datums. At this point, our design is not 100% complete. As you can see, we have datum locators, but no datum planes. So what we want to do is finish up the design work here by using PMI and using our company rules to apply some of that PMI to our model. The first thing we want to do is create the datums for our primary, secondary, and tertiary datums. Again, like I said, by using our company applied rules. So we just pick the faces that these datums will be applied to and go ahead and apply those. As you can see now, they were applied automatically. Now what we want to do is we want to go back and looking at some of the other views we have, we see one of our views, the one for locating tolerances, has not yet been assigned any values. Again, using company rules, we can quickly document our entire design process. The first thing we want to do is we want to create hole and thread callouts. It's as simple as selecting a body and it will go find all the holes in there and get those to the values we need with the diameter and the depth value. Next, we want to just create a size from faces. The thing to notice here is we will get different tolerances based on the size of our face because our company rules are the larger the diameter, the less tolerance we may need. Next, we want to apply some feature control frames. We'll start with some size, some position ones, and we'll set up all the parameters we need based on which datums we're going to measure to, what the values are, and what kind of zone shape we want. After we do that, we say apply, and all of these will be applied to all of the on-screen values that we have for now. Once all those have been applied, we need to, looking over the design, we need to make one more small change, and we need to add some tolerances to the diameter for the holes that we originally started with. These can be added later to our company rules, or maybe we don't need them all the time. Now that we have everything done, we want to double check our PMI to make sure we don't have any errors. So we use the PMI advisor to notice we have a couple of feature control frames that have self-referencing datums. Again, this will prevent downstream problems by correcting these issues early in the process. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to take those ones out and I'm going to apply some other feature control frames for perpendicularity for those two because they're based on certain datums. Once we have all that done, we'll go ahead and double check our advisor again to make sure we don't have any other errors, which we don't. So we will continue on now with the characterization. Once we get to the characterization, we will be using the NX Inspector product to go ahead and characterize our entire model. We can set up the scheme of how we want to start our base IDs and which ones we want, or I can do a select all and it will select all of the entities and characterize them all. The nice thing here is we show the designators are, as we look at the top of the holes, we have the 8 individual instances for the holes with their diameters and the holes with their depths. The other thing that selecting all did is it went to all the other views of the things we can't see, and it did characterize all of those as well. For instance, here now as we go back and look at our views, we can see that all of our form and finish now has characterization applied to all of it also. Again, I could have set these up with a numbering scheme I wanted, but for now I'm taking the default and let it pick everything. Once we have everything characterized, the other thing you will notice is the characterization, the PMI, all stay up to date based on model changes. In this example, I'm going to change the value of 8 to 6. You'll see now the PMI updates to 6, and if we go look at the characteristics for those 8 holes, you'll see all 8 of those holes now have a value of 6. But for this job, we need it to be 8, so I'm going to set that back to 8 and continue on. Now that everything's done, we're going to turn this over to people downstream. They may or may not be NX users, but based on the value of Team Center, our high-end data management system, we can now look at all of that value that's captured in CAD outside of it. What I want to do is I want to first look at my part and look at all the characteristics or the bill of characteristics that's now available to everyone because it was characterized in our design. Once we've done that and we can see all that information, what I need to do now is start to apply some of these characteristics to the quality plan. This is where we see some of the real value now of tracing all this stuff all the way downstream. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into one of my operations and I'm going to go ahead and select from the balloons that we saw before that we created over in NX to this quality operation step. You'll notice here they all come in, but I want to go back because all of my views came across that we had created before. And you'll see here now that I have all of that information I had before. I can look at it in 3D, I can look at it in a table, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to select just a couple of them for now in this example to go ahead and show you what we can do. So I'm going to go ahead and bring all of those in to that operation, and now they're all assigned to that operation. But the big question now is what happens when we make a design change after we do all this? So again, we're going to go back now to our model, and we're going to make a design change, and this time instead of changing it to 6 like I did before the example, I'm going to go ahead and change it to 7.5. What you'll notice now is, just like before, we get all the updates we expect in NX, but we'll see now what happens down in our quality system is all that information will now be available to be consumed by the quality engineer without them having to go ahead, be notified and track it. It will just automatically come in, but give them the option to go ahead and take them or not. So we made 2 small changes here, one to one of the larger rings and also to the whole. So as we go back now and look, we see our characteristics are all updated. And when we go ahead now and we look, we can go ahead now and compare what we have versus what we have now. And you notice now, as we go back to our same view we've been working on, we see the couple of yellow ones. And as we go ahead and look at these, we can do certain things before we accept them. We can kind of look at them up close. If we go ahead and hover over that one balloon, we'll get the before and after values of it. This one we can see was changed from 8 to 7.5. We could do the same thing with the other one that we made the change on to. But in this case, I'm just going to take those 2 values and I'm going to go ahead and say now we want those in. So they will go ahead now and not be yellow as different, but they will be part of the design change that we made. So let's recap the value of what we saw today. What we saw using characteristics is we have one complete system from end to end to allow me to track all of my design criteria and characterize it all the way down to the manufacturing floor in my quality plans. Thank you and have a great day.